is I think workers started to be like, fuck you. I'm not going to do what you want me to do because America is full of shit and about like you're valued based on your productivity. People are like, it's dangerous for me to go out. It's dangerous to mingle. It's dangerous to be in places where it's packed full of people. And I think companies even still are learning. Like, companies raised how much they're paying people. Like, you could go and start work at Taco Bell just as, like, a worker and make, like, $19 an hour. Like, people were giving, like, Verizon next to my store, $2,000 sign-on bonus. Like, people were just giving and giving and giving. And Starbucks even gave us raises. Again, we could take time off, all of that. We had, if we got sick or we, whatever, felt like we had a symptom, we could like isolate for 10 days and get paid for it. Like, it was just, it changed everything. But I think what this is doing is really changing how people feel about our work, our country, the work we do, the economy, and people are like, you can pay me more or I don't have to work here. And what used to be the idea of like, oh, well, you're replaceable. Bitch, you can't just replace everybody all the time. Because we talked about this the other day. Yeah. Once you replace everybody with everyone else, then you have no one else to work. And is that really the reputation you want to have? And I mean, example, Starbucks is going through this. Starbucks has been around since the late 70s, I believe, early 80s. I can't remember. I should know this, but it doesn't matter. But in the past couple years, past year, multiple stores throughout the nation have started to unionize. And it's crazy. And of course, Starbucks has their own feeling about it. And it's back and forth. But a lot of stores are unionizing. And a lot of people don't know this, but Howard Schultz, who started the company's CEO, tried to retire. He was like chairman of the board, but then tried to retire. But the higher-ups of this company were running it to the ground and making such bad choices for everyone involved that he had to come back as acting CEO. And our other CEO is retiring. And I was talking to my partner about this, and I was like, are they retiring or is he being retired? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you took this company that's like a gajillion-dollar company.
And ran it into the ground.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously it's Starbucks. It's not going away.
Right. It's fine. They're fine.
But they're changing. I mean, unionizing.
Although they did lose their location in Disney. Downtown Disney.
Well, they closed a ton of locations. But yeah.
Well, they closed. I know that in downtown Disney, they closed a bunch of stores because Disney was closed for a year.
Oof.
And so that means all the stores there were closed for a year in downtown Disney. And Starbucks is one of the ones that didn't come back.
Yep.
So,
well, now Starbucks, like, now they're, like, resaturating the market. They closed a bunch of stores when it happened because, like, cafes, you couldn't have anyone come in, right? It was only drive-thrus that were open.
Right.
And when I told you we were busy, there's, I don't know how many stores in my district, but we were, like, the only store open in, like, all of Happy Valley Clackamas for the longest time. So no wonder we were so fucking busy, but I don't know. The pandemic, yes, was horrible, and, like, I've known plenty of people who've been permanently injured or who have died.
Yes.
It has changed the way of life, though, and I think that we should look at it as, like, we're not ever going to go back to normal. And the new normal is, like, we just need to realize that, like, capitalism isn't it's not going to work out that way. You know what I mean? It's going to be the destruction of everything else. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that is one of the things that it certainly has affected the most is capitalism.
Yep.
Because with people going, you know, I can't live on $10 an hour or 12, whatever minimum wage is. I think it's in Oregon now. I think it's like 15. Mm-hmm. But nobody can live on that.
No.
And why should I bust my ass so that you can pay me this little minimal amount and work me like a dog
and make gajillions of dollars
because I don't have a degree or whatever? But even people with degrees, I've seen jobs that say they're hiring, and the minimum you have to have is like a bachelor's degree or whatever, and it's like for minimum wage. I don't think
absolutely
so.
Not.
I don't think so. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
You know, so I believe it will change, and it has changed so much. One of my friends the other day was, I was reading his post on the Facebook, and he works for he works for Fred Meyer. So big, for those, if you're not in this area, big grocery store that's an everything store, Kroger, right. And he was saying how the area that he works in, pre-pandemic, had, I want to say, 10 employees in his area. They now have 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're overworked and underpaid, and they can't keep anybody. So they'll hire someone, and they'll either not show up for work at all, or they'll come into work and go, no, this isn't what I had in mind.
Yes.
Or whatever it is.
Yep.
And part of it, I think, well, if you don't even show up, then that's on you, and you probably are not the right fit for any job. But if you show up and you're like, no, this is too much. You're expecting me to do the job of 2, 3, 4 people.
Yeah.
And paying me less than what one person can live on, that doesn't cut it.
Absolutely.
And as soon as, if any of the people on the higher up level, the CEOs and the whatevers and the board of directors and the whoever are running these businesses, if they tried to live on even double what they pay their employees, they couldn't do it.
No.
And so if you can't live on less than your $1 million a year or whatever the hell you pay yourself. I don't know. I do know that when T worked at the Humane Society, there was this, what we referred to as the caste system, was the downstairs employees and the upstairs employees.
Yep.
The downstairs employees were, the people who did the adoptions for the pets, and the people who...
Like they were the worker bees. They
actually the worker bees, who made minimum wage, basically. A little over, but not much.
Yep.
And then there was the upstairs crew, who were the people that ran the place and were in charge. And they made, for a non-profit, they made an obscene amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you tried to balance out that, it's like, pay the downstairs staff more, pay the upstairs staff a little less, it can all work out.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they can't make more money.
It's like the guy that runs Goodwill makes a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
And he has people that work for him who are special needs folks.
Yep.
Who he doesn't even pay minimum wage.
No.
Because he gets some cut from the government for hiring special Really? So you can't even... I get...
Child.
And you're getting the cut from the government. They're not.
Yeah.
Yes, they are already probably subsidized and get some money because of their situation.
But you're not going to pay them for their work?
But, right. I'm training them and I'm giving them... You're not giving them anything.
Go to hell. I know. And the funny thing to me is I think about this often. And I think this is also changing. But any higher up, even if you go into a store or a restaurant and they have like a district manager up, they couldn't do the job. My district manager couldn't come into my store and run my floor the way I do. He couldn't work any part of my store. Do you know what I mean? So the people making the rules and the standards in which a store should be ran by couldn't even do it. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, it's not hard. And you're correct. A lot of these jobs are not difficult, but when you have to do the same thing every day and you are talked down to and you're treated like shit and you're short-staffed and you're not making enough money and like all of that will burn you out. And then what?
And that's where I disagree with you, that it's not difficult. I think it is difficult.
Well,
I think it's difficult for so many reasons. One, that you're dealing with the public. And the public it's a wild card. You're going to have people, and I am going to use myself as an example, you're going to have people like me who come up to your window or come up to your speaker box and very clearly and concisely order exactly what I want, because I know before I got there, because I'm not holding up the line. And then I'm going to say please and thank you. And then when I get to the window, I'm going to say please and thank you and how was your day and have a lovely afternoon and tip you. I am not the common, I'm not the norm. But I've worked with the public for so many years, it's like, I know that, first of all, these folks who work, I'm going to stick with Starbucks, for example, because I went there this morning, got my little decaf coffee. Anyway, I know that they are busting ass, because there's usually a line around the block, they're busy, and even if you pull up and you see maybe 1 or 2 people standing around, they're probably standing around for that moment, whatever. But they're cleaning, they're fixing coffee, they're mopping the floor because shit spills and whatever. It's a hard job. Is it mentally like learning how to do the job? Is it hard? No. But it's a hard job because it's physical, and it is mental because you have to be in the right space. And I think that's the part where people forget. These people, because now. Also, with COVID, I think, came the onset of Karens. I mean, I think they started before that, but we started really seeing it. It's like, because people are mad, sad, whatever they are, and they're like, I can talk to anybody. Well, that actually kind of started more with the beginning of the Trump era, the whole Karen, the Karenicity of it all. And to any of our friends who are named Karen, you know we're not talking about you.
We love you.
Because Mimi, we love you. Mm-hmm. You know, our other friends named Karen, we love you.
Yes.
But the people who do this kind of stuff, the people who go to the drive-up window and are screaming because my coffee was 2 degrees too cold or 2 degrees too hot or you didn't put whipped cream on it or whatever, it's like, there's nice ways to achieve 100%. All of that. And I've been there when I've heard people screaming. It's like, there's no need for
enough. That. Oh, yeah. And like often, because again, being a part of management, I deal with it often. And so people freak out over nothing. I'm like, how nice is it for you to be able to be this angry that your coffee is incorrect? Like, we'll remake it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a big deal to us. Like, we'll just fix it. But you act like it's the end of the world. Like, you are a sheltered, privileged bitch, and this happens often.
Oh, yeah.
But people freak out over you, and, like, this happened a lot during COVID, too, is, like, everywhere was out of a lot of stuff, because supply chains, if you don't have workers, you can't make the things to be sent to us or whatever. And so we're out of a lot of stuff doing it, and people freak out, like, why do you have it on your menu? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, first of all...
Yeah, because we're going to go change a board.
Right.
If it was an electronic reader board, sure, but it's not.
But, like, no one in the store has any control over that. If you have beef, call corporate. Do you know what I mean? And I say that all the time. My name is Annika. Go ahead and call corporate, girl. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Because you're yelling at me for what purpose? You know what I mean? For what purpose are you mad at me because I'm out of a certain sandwich or a certain type of milk you want? Like, get over yourself. I think, so the pandemic, I think a lot of younger generations made them realize, because, like, I'm sorry, COVID, Donald Trump, the BLM protests, this woke a lot of people up, right? But I think for a lot of older generations, it just made them fucking worse, right? Like, even people my age and older, some of them are just horrible now. Like, they became more entitled, opposed to, like, giving a shit about the people who are working.
Right. I agree with you.
And, like, for us, you know, like, we live on this little compound, our families, and... my partner and I are, like, planting indigenous plants and having a garden. And, like, I want to be much more self-sufficient because a huge part of it is because of the pandemic, right? Like, I want to grow food because I want to be able to have it. I want to be able to not rely on anything else. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Obviously not that much because I'm not going to be off the grid. But still, girl, you get it. Right. It's changed my perspective a bunch.
Me too. And on that note, I'm going to take a break for a moment. And I totally hit the wrong button. Now I'm going to... Oh, okay. You know, sometimes making a podcast is hard.
Well, when you're born in the Stone Age and they put a computer in front of you...
I know.
You're all, this internal fire.
Listen, you know, I realize this is like everything else we've talked about, pretty much off topic. But I was talking with my children the other day about... I don't remember what it was, some technology. And they were like, oh, did you do that when you were a kid? No. Because most of the things that they take for granted now, because it's been a part of their life since they were born, were not even dreamed of, probably. I mean, honestly, there's technology that's come and gone in my, like, you know, VCRs and, you know, things like that. Cassette. Yeah, all that stuff. Came and went during my lifetime. So, whatever. But, you know, back to the other thing. One of the interesting things for me about all of this was kind of seeing it, how it affected people and just politically. Because there were so many people who were like, well, it's not even real. It's not real?
Yep.
So all of the dead people were just supposed to be like...
chilling.
You probably... You were going to die anyway.
If you just prayed to God enough.
Right.
Girl, I heard grown men be like, don't you think we're all just overreacting? And then people died. And I'm like, no, I know, you're stupid.
Well, right. And so the interesting thing to me about that is you'll see these people who either on social media or on the news or whatever it is, because what's his name? Oh, God, the guy, I just blanked on his name.
I can't.
Right-wing radio host that died of the COVID.
I don't know.
I'm blanking. Anyway, it'll come to me. Sorry about that. Who was like, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. It's just, you know, the left, it's the Democrats, it's the whatever.
left propaganda.
So somehow, us weirdo liberals were able to convince the entire world not, you know, to do this in spite of Donald Trump.
Yep.
Because that's how they were acting. It was like, oh, this is just, another thing to make Trump look bad. We didn't need to do anything to make him look bad.
He's good at it. But he's professional at making himself look like shit.
Right.